Thanks for coming to our channel. Just because you didn't know how many chances do you think you've missed? Read a woman's body language. Whether you believe it or not, body language always tells the truth. But if you don't know how to read it, you could miss out on important moments that you'll never get back. As an older, more experienced man, it's normal for women to be interested in you. But here's the thing, women aren't supposed to be direct. They know how to SP. Mark your interest in a woman subtly with movements and attitudes that seem casual but are full of intention. Now, what happens if you're asleep? If she maintains eye contact and you don't understand what she's saying without words, you miss out on a connection that could have changed your life. But don't worry, today I'm going to fix that. I'm going to show you 9 signals based on female psychology and body language that show when a woman is interested in you. These aren't the obvious ones you've heard 1,000 times. These are the ones that will help you figure out when someone is into you, even if she doesn't say it outright. My name is Celia, and I'm going to talk about those subtle details that most people miss. Bye-bye, but that changes everything if this is your first time here. Please subscribe and turn on alerts. Stay until the end because these signals could open your eyes and change the way you think about relationships. Let's begin. The body always speaks, even when we try to hide how we feel. One of the most honest signs of interest is in the feet, which we don't usually pay attention to. If you're talking to her and her feet are pointed directly at you, that's a subtle but powerful sign that she mirrors your movements. Her focus is on you, not just physically, but emotionally to think about it if someone isn't interested or doesn't feel comfortable. Their feet tend to turn toward the exit or in any other direction that suggests disengagement. But when her feet are aligned with you, it's because her body is subconsciously reflecting her interest, even if she's not aware of it. Imagine you're in a meeting or a public set, and while you're talking, her feet remain still facing toward you, even if she turns her head or gestures with her hands. This happens because down her body language is seeking connection with you. This doesn't mean you should start staring at the feet of every woman you talk to, but if you notice the signal, along with other positive behaviors, you can be fairly confident that she's interested. So what should you do if you pick up on this? Use that moment to deepen the conversation, to create a more meaningful connection. You don't need to mention it or act differently, just understand that her body language is opening a door for you. And speaking of signals that don't rely on words, let's move on to the next one. Sometimes the key isn't in her feet, but she finds reasons to touch you in what she does with her hands, almost as an unconscious reflex. Let's talk about that now. Hands are a direct reflection of what's happening in the mind when a woman is interested. Her nervousness or excitement might reveal itself through subtle gestures like playing with her accessories, twisting a ring, touching a neck, adjusting her watch, or even smoothing out the hem of her clothing. These movements aren't always but serve as a way to release the energy stirred by the emotion she feels around you. Imagine you're talking to her, and suddenly you notice she starts fiddling with her necklace, turning it between her fingers as she listens to you. She's not focused on the necklace itself. Rather, you've caught her attention, and that energy is finding a way to express itself. These gestures are often repetitive and delicate, as if she's trying to keep herself occupied to calm her emotions. What's fascinating is that this behavior isn't random. Psychology tells us that people tend to engage in these kinds of gestures when they're around someone they're attracted to, either as an unconscious form of self-soothing or a subtle way of drawing your attention. If you notice this, pay attention to how it aligns with the body languages. What should you say in response? The most important thing is not to rush the conversation. Instead, use the time to ask her questions that make the connection more personal. Does she make eye contact? Does her voice sound warm and interested? Does she tilt her head? These are all signs that she is interested in you. Give her the space to feel comfortable, and if these gestures persist, it's a strong sign she enjoys being around you. Now let's move on, because if her hands can reveal her interest, her posture can make it even more obvious, especially when she adjusts her natural stance to project her best self in your presence. Let's talk about that next. The body naturally seeks to impress when someone catches her interest, and one of the cool of attraction is how a woman adjusts her posture around you if she's usually relaxed or casual in her stance, but straightens her back, lifts her chin slightly, or even adjusts her clothing when she sees you. It's her body speaking before she does think about it. You walk into a room and see her sitting comfortably. Then, as soon as she knows you, her posture subtly changes. She might fix her hair, cross her legs more elegantly, or she plays with her hair into a position that highlights her best features. These movements aren't just vanity. They're an unconscious way for her to show you her best self and get your attention. This change isn't happening by chance. Psychology tells us that our bodies react automatically when we're close to someone. Demonstrating interest in someone we like is a natural way to want to make a good impact. If you notice this behavior, pay attention to how it changes as you talk. Does she keep that posture? Does she move her clothes or touch her hair more often than usual? These small movements are her way of telling you that she cares about you. What should you do if you pick this up? Respond with your body language. Show that you're interested by keeping your shoulders back, smiling, and making her feel like you've noticed her. This mix of visual and physical contact will make her feel at ease and encourage her to keep expressing her interest. Now that we've talked about expressions, let's talk about revealing her smile. If a woman is interested, she will often smile when you least expect it. Let's look at what this means in the next point before you say something funny. A woman's smile is powerful, but there's one type that really says it. The one that just shows up for no reason, like when you're talking about something normal and she starts smiling at you. It's like she thinks being with you is enough to make her happy and comfortable, even if you don't say anything funny. A woman who smiles at you without being asked is clearly interested in you. This is because, according to female psychology, love shows up on the face in the most natural ways. It's not a fake smile. It's a natural reaction to how she feels around you. In fact, often she might not even realize she's doing it. If you notice this, don't overlook it. It's a silent invitation to keep connecting, to maintain the conversation, and to build on the spark that's already there. How should you respond? Return it with a sincere, warm smile. That shared moment of visual and emotional connection reinforces mutual interest and lets her know her gesture. She points. Her feet toward you didn't go unnoticed, but smiles aren't the only way to tell if she's interested. Sometimes the most revealing gestures are in how she subtly seeks to be closer to you. Even imperceptible ways in the next point will explore how her body works to close the distance between you without seeming intentional. Let's keep going if you're in this video so far and starting to notice the subtle signals that may have slipped past you before. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button to support this content. Stay with me until the end, because the most surprising and revealing signals are yet to come for those who truly want to learn how to interpret what a woman's body language is trying to say. I have one last thought that might totally change how you understand these interactions. Also, let me know what country you're listening from. Let's go. A woman's interest isn't always expressed in words, but through subtle movements that seem casual. You yet have a clear purpose to be closer to you. If you notice that without any obvious reason, she adjusts her position to get near mirror, or takes every chance to close the distance, you're witnessing a powerful sign of attraction. For example, you're talking in a group, and without you realizing it right away, she shifts slightly towards your side. Or maybe you're sitting at a table, and she positions her arm or body to align more closely with she blushes around yours. It's not abrupt or overly obvious. It's a natural movement driven by her body's desire to connect with you. This behavior has a psychological basis. When we're drawn to someone, our instinct T is to want to be closer, to share the same personal space. It's a way of feeling connected without crossing the physical boundary, yet but still making her interest clear. How can you be sure that this is a real signal? Pay attention to whether she does this only with you. If you notice she doesn't display the same closeness with others, it's a strong indic that her focus is on you. What should you do if you pick up on this? Don't pull away or act uncomfortable. Let the closeness remain. Respond with a relaxed and open demeanor. And if you feel confident, mirror her gesture with a small movement toward W. This not only strengthens the connection, but also signals that you're open to her interest. Now let's move forward when a woman's interest is genuine. It's not just reflected in her physical proximity, but also in how she mirrors your gestures, as if the two of you are perfectly in sync. Let's explore that connection. In the next point, when a woman is interested, her body language saint starts to ace-in with yours, or almost as if you're both engaged in an unplanned dance. This is known as unconscious mirroring, or the mirror. She leans in when talking effect, and it's one of the most fascinating signs of attraction without even realizing it. She begins to mimic your movements, posture, or even your tone of voice, as her body instinctively seeks to connect with you. Picture this. You cross your arms while talking, and a few seconds later you notice she does the same. Or maybe you take a sip of your drink, and suddenly she does too. Even though her glass had been sitting untouched, these subtle gestures aren't coincidences. These marks show that her mind is in sync with yours, and that she is at ease with you being there. Psychology teaches us that mirroring is a way to show interest and build a connection. It's like her body is saying, "I'm with you, I understand you, I'm interested in what you're doing." She doesn't even realize she's doing it, so if you notice her mirroring, use it as a chance to get closer to her. Keep talking and watch how her body language continues to match yours. But don't make it too clear. You don't have to say anything or suddenly change how you're moving to see if it works. When a woman is interested in someone, her tone of voice changes in ways that are almost imperceptible, but very telling. And we'll talk more about this in the next point. Let's move on. When a woman is interested in someone, her tone of voice changes in ways that are almost imperceptible but very telling. It may become softer, warmer, or even slower when she speaks to you. She doesn't do this on purpose. It's a reflection of how she feels in your presence and her desire to build a more personal connection with you. Imagine you're in a group and her tone stays neutral and direct when she talks to everyone else, but when she talks to you, it changes. It's like she wants to make the moment more private, even though the room is full of people. Her voice changes. This is a small thing that has a big impact. Psychology says this happened because feelings have a direct effect on how we act. When a woman is interested, her body and mind work to make you feel close, and her tone of voice is one of the most subtle ways she does this. If you notice that her tone changes when she talks to you, take it as an invitation to deepen the conversation. Respond in a calm and attentive way, matching her warmth in your own tone. This helps build trust and strengthens the spark that's already there. But it's not just how she talks to you, it's also what she shares. When a woman is interested, she starts to reveal more personal details, creating a unique bond. In the next point, we'll talk about how these confessions can be a clear sign that she likes you. When a woman likes someone, she sometimes talks about things that are more personal or deep than what would normally be said in a relaxed setting. This could be a personal detail, a deep thought, or a story. She doesn't do this with just anyone, and if she tells you about it, it's because she wants to build a stronger relationship with you. Imagine that you're just chatting when all of a sudden she says something like, "Not many people know this, but I've always wanted to learn how to play the piano," or "This place makes me think of a hard time in my life." These things don't just happen, they're signs that she trusts you and wants to let you into her world. Female psychology says that sharing personal information is a way to build emotional intimacy. When a woman talks about something she normally keeps to herself, it's because she wants you to connect with her on a deeper level. What can you do to make the most of this time? Pay close attention, ask questions that show you're interested, and let the talk flow naturally. If she thinks you respect and value what she's saying, she'll trust you more, which will strengthen your relationship. Here's something else you shouldn't do. Don't pay attention if she finds ways to spend more time with you even when it's time to go. That's another clear sign that she likes being with you more than she's willing to admit. Let's look at this last sign in the next point. It's not just a simple "see you later" when she says goodbye. She'll find ways to keep the conversation going with an extra comment or question. For example, when you think the conversation is coming to an end, she might say something like, "Oh, by the way, what do you think about that?" Or, "Before you go, I have to tell you something." This isn't because she suddenly remembered something important. It's just her way of making sure the moment doesn't end too quickly. This happens because, in female psychology, wanting to extend an interaction is a clear sign of interest. If a woman enjoys being with you, any goodbye feels too short, and she looks for small reasons to stay with you a little longer. If you notice this, don't rush the goodbye. Instead, respond naturally and use the moment to deepen the connection. These moments are great for building closeness because they show that both of you are enjoying the time together. Remember that actions speak louder than words. If she finds ways to linger even in small interactions, it's because there's something about you that makes her want to stay with you. Now you know how to figure out what a woman is trying to say through her actions and body language, even if she doesn't say it directly. This is because women don't usually use clear words to show interest. Instead, they use gestures that only a few people can understand. If you've noticed any of these signs in a special someone, pay attention. You could be about to seize a chance you hadn't seen before. And remember, the most important thing is to react with confidence and honesty. That's what makes a real connection. My name is Celia, and I want this channel to be a safe place where we can talk about deep and thought-provoking topics with respect and wisdom. Here, we go beyond the obvious and look at the actions, words, and small details that we often don't notice, but have the power to change how we experience our relationships with each other. Let's learn how to better understand each other and make our lives better in every way, because in the end, every small act of awareness and every moment spent thinking about our connections brings us closer to a more authentic and fulfilling life. If this is your first time on the channel, I invite you to subscribe and turn on notifications. Bell. What's coming next will surprise you and help you understand aspects of female psychology that you may have missed up until now. If you've made it this far, congratulations. That means you're dedicated to personal growth and getting to know others better. To see who really connected with this message until the end, leave a comment with the phrase, "I love W," and let me know where you're listening from. I'd love to hear from people who are on this journey of discovery with me. See you in the next video, where we'll continue talking about the key to relationships and emotional health.